afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Mindfulness Meditation here also Rubin Museum of Art. My name is Tim, and we are the therapist director here at this rural hut for the Lincoln's here in Kingsley. We're so glad to have such a full house to join us with this very special occasion. I'm going to hear from our honor teacher, Antinkus and So, as is our weekly tradition get the first day, what we'd like to do is explore art promotion and take inspiration from it. And Rubin has chosen two objects in art production for us to have a look. Deeply left first, Rubin will go on the stage, and after seeing the meditation, after having done a brief teaching before animated meditation, will take maybe about 15 minutes or so. And then invite you to ask questions for Rubin in the brief time that we have, and then you conclude with 1 minute of grace, 1 minute of final meditation, and a museum of being together in this space, in quiet, in serenity, before we have to face the streets of New York City. So we'd like to bet you that join us to that. So, if you've not listened to any of our mindfulness meditation podcasts before, you can read them on rubinmuseum.org/meditation-pod, and or use whatever you listen. So let's take a look at the objects that Rubin has chosen for today's session, and they are, of course, the Vajra and the theme of this session, indeed, from a form of fabric, was love and compassion. And the Vajra bell was signed by the union of all dualities, and the Vajra is held in the right hand, and the bell in left. When one's arms are crossed, it symbolizes like the two forces united, representing enlightenment. And they are probably his two most important ritual outlets in Tibetan Buddhist practice. The Vajra, of course, representing method, and the bell, wisdom. So, we'd like to introduce a little bit of the living tradition in these sessions. Of course, we have the Inkai living tradition in our midst right now. The short video might show you a little bit, to those of you who are not familiar with how the Vajra from the bell are achieving the wins. I'm like, that's grams tips. Yeah. Oh, no, what you been? It's a thing of living. Trick. So I'm very, very honored as I have to Rubin Museum of introducing Rinpoche to talk about him with Rinpoche as a supreme.
Monastery in Hula, Nepal. And at the age of 3, he was recognized by Dudjom Rinpoche as the reincarnation of Chinda Rinpoche, who was the emanation of the great Indian siddha Dhamma Sangye, and spiritual head of the renowned Shepfo Ling Monastery in Tibet. In 1985, he constructed his own monastery in Hongkong and has taught the 13 major philosophical texts of Shunchen Chansun for 24 years. And he's been an inspiration to so many, and so many of you here in this room. We're so glad that you could join us for this very special session. Rinpoche has studied the Vajrayana tradition of the Nyingma lineage from renowned spiritual masters. I can't name them all, but I'll just refer to a few. Dudjom Rinpoche, of course, and Lugo Khyentse Rinpoche amongst them. Rinpoche will be joined by his translator Nora on stage, and we're very grateful to Nora for facilitating this experience and this teaching. But Rinpoche, it's such an honor to have you here at the Rubin Museum of Art. It's been many years since you were last here, and please join us on the stage. Thank you so much.
Okay. Namaste. Tene ta tongi da mingi ko ni che pres ke sa tu te tin di kan la te ko la garang ni cha shi chun shi na ba ba ya ya ju itne ta fi chigins.
So the first topic today is the Vajra and bell. The Vajra and bell, which symbolize or express emptiness and compassion. So I will do my best in this short time to just share a bit about these symbols. Generally speaking, the Vajra and bell are implements used in secret mantra practice. If we were to explain the real meaning of Vajra and bell, we couldn't finish even in a few hours. Because there is a very detailed explanation of the Vajra and bell in a text in one of Jigme Lingpa's compositions.
Tilu koran la kusum samle sanje chukulu tilu kusum samle tene maran so ge kusum samle sanje ku da sung da tu ku di kana se ba sha dong de tilu ge sha dong de ku re tene sung ge ya ku de tene sung re tene gol do je yo ge de tu re tene sanje ku sung tu sung de den sanje tam je su de na sanje ku ru de sung tu de tam je sung de tene tilu ra de res.
In short, let's look at the bell first. The bell embodies the enlightened body, speech and mind of all Buddhas. So how is this the case? At the top of the bell there is a face. That face represents or rather embodies the enlightened body of all enlightened ones. The sound that the bell makes, the ringing, embodies the speech, or illustrates the speech of all enlightened beings. And the Vajra handle, that symbolizes enlightened mind. So in this way, the enlightened body speech of all Buddhas is contained in the bell.
Then go at the Ishinga at the chewing Ishi, Melon, Yami, sort of Chajushi, Ishinga, Teti, Ishinga, the Kunga, the Doji Sumure. The Tatila, answer me top of my gear, Tietin, Sabajana, Samajagi, Gajari. The need to reach a Kundina. He really becomes a budget in it, so the Ishi comes to the Tilinia 6 and 2
As for the Vajra, the lower 5 prongs of the Vajra illustrate the 5 wisdoms, the 5 primordial wisdoms. Probably no need to mention these to you. These are the Dharmadhatu wisdom, the mirror-like wisdom, the discriminating wisdom, wisdom of equanimity, and the all-accomplishing wisdom. So that those are illustrated by the 5 lower prongs. The 5 upper prongs symbolize the 5 kayas, the 5 wisdom bodies of Vajrachana, Vajrasattva, Ratnasambhava, Amitayas, and Amoghasiddhi. Surrounding both the 5 upper and lower prongs are 8 lotus petals. These symbolize the male and female 8 bodhisattvas. And the central hub, or sort of ball in the center of the Vajra, symbolizes that all of these are contained within the ultimate single bindu. So, to explain the meaning of the Vajra and bell very briefly, that's it.
Changing and Darminda Manguyo, Lasso, Changing Ringala, so Yinaya, or Richiku to be Chakati, Dorji the Tiludes. Aresana, did it Lama Dojis to be Chayel, Doji Chagan, Tilunam, Doji Sambati Sanji, Panjita. She was speaking into Doji Sambati, Doji Sambati Chasing, Doji the Tilune. Doji the Tilu, Chamaya, and Sama Chaka Panji.
The Vajra and bell are implements of secret mantra practice. They are hand implements, things that are held in the hands of the deities. There are so many different hand implements of the various tantric deities. Some deities hold a curved knife, some are purba, some are skull cup, and so on. Each of the 5 Buddha families hold specific and different hand implements, and so on and so forth. For instance, the 100 Buddha families each have their respective hand implements. However, all of these 100 and more hand implements of the 100 Buddha families can be contained in the Vajra and the bell, in these two. Why is that the case? Well, the Buddha Vajrasattva contains or embodies all of the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities, the 52 wrathful and 48 peaceful deities. In that way, Vajrasattva embodies all different Buddha families. And Vajrasattva, what does he hold in his hands? He holds in his right hand a Vajra, in his left hand a bell. So in this way, the Vajra and bell embody all hand implements and all Buddha families. In this way, if one can hold, so to speak, or embody the Vajra and bell, in that way one can embody or hold the hand implements or insignia of all Buddhas. Khenpo Daze Rinpoche would often talk about the Vajra and bell and say, really the Vajra and bell, they should be treated with uttermost respect and reverence. For instance, they shouldn't just be placed down directly on a table. Rather, they should have their own mat, actually, like a dedicated mat. But rather than that being the case, often monks and practitioners, they treat the Vajra and bell very carelessly, almost as if they're just like a product kind of manufactured, like something made cut by a carpenter or a craftsman. That is absolutely not the case, he said. In actual fact, if we understand the meaning of Vajra, for instance, we understand that a Vajra is even more precious, even more sacred than a statue, than the representation of Buddha's body. This being the case, we really need to respect Vajra and bell. For instance, we can do this by using a special mat, placing the Vajra and bell on that mat, keeping the Vajra bell in the shrine in a high and clean place. They shouldn't be just like placed on one's lap, placed on a table carelessly, kept in a low place. Certainly they shouldn't be walked over and things like that. We can, if we study the Tantras, we will find very detailed explanations of the profound meaning of the Vajra and bell. For instance, Vimalamitra gave a detailed explanation of the Vajra and bell. And when if we look to those explanations, we'll see just how and why these items are so incredibly blessed and sacred. This being the case, if any of you are practitioners and you possess Vajra and bell, you should treat them with respect in the way that I've described, that the teachers explain. And those of you who are sort of just interested in learning about the Vajra bell as like a topic of research or something, just be aware that 7 minutes is certainly not enough to even begin to understand the meaning of these sacred items.
지단가 상하와 네 상하가 두피기 네 상하가 네 제 상하가 두피기 두 상하가 두피기 화 디시디 베 세그리빙스 거래 상하가 나 근데 제 나나 들었다 도진이 나 탐지도 되게 디 빼미고 자서 그래 이는 도 디나 지고 마인 바게 나나 지고 마인 바게 지단가 들루기 다 도지게 네 샤바된 도나네 요사리 대뒤에 가 간디 동화라서 비다 간디 세겐데 왔다 간디 세겐 시다 나오야 다 개와시나야 시다 간디 세도 가서 지루기 개와 개가 간디 세요 디테 안도 나라야 간디 에게 도르기트라 정고요 디 시다 가 야니 간디 세겐데 야신 디 말데 말장가람 디조티기 디조 다 디조 탐제야 바마수수게 가고 고발레다 돈다레 요레 다이네 찌르던게 말았던다 마야 보시는 도 생이다 보시는 동이 당이지니 권되게 동이 세겐데 뒤로 인지 세겐데 도제 이렇게 되네야 또야 투부야 로게나 상하이나 탑당 셔라 세겐이라시 탑 세겐데 도지 셔 세겐데 뒤로시 되네 상하 조바시고야 나나서 키나서 와스틴 기미데 조바시고 백어 조바시고게 리파당 강사스가 리동 리파동 동바사 리파 도지 동바 세컨드 제고 아다 근데 그냥 따라서 temporary 버블을 잘 해야겠나요? 디셰 좀 해봐 쉐이어스.
This being the case, if one is a practitioner, and as a practitioner one is unable to keep all of the various insignia or hand implements of the deities, but one can just keep a vajra and a bell. All of the deities' insignia or hand implements are contained in the vajra and bell. So just by possessing a vajra and bell, you in that way possess the insignia of all deities without exception. This is the case because in the secret mantra tradition, there are 4 things that are taught to be secret, or that are said that should be kept secret by a practitioner. First of all is the place of one's practice, secondly the substances of one's practice, the third the time, and fourth the deity. These need to be kept secret. When we talk about substances here, vajra and bell are examples of secret mantra substances. So they are incredibly sacred implements. This being said, the bell does appear in the sutra teachings as well, in the sutra context. It's in that case it's called a gandhi, which is the Hindi word for bell. That word gandhi can also refer to the stick that is used in the Vinaya context, but it can also refer to the bell. The use of bells does appear in sutra level of teachings with various significance and in different contexts. At that level of teaching, so the level of the vehicle of characteristics, we can understand that the bell symbolizes emptiness and the vajra compassion, so emptiness and compassion. But as we progress to the level of secret mantra, we can understand that the vajra symbolizes skillful means and the bell symbolizes wisdom. And even higher, the great perfection. You Westerners love the great perfection, right? Dzogchen. So in the great perfection we have natural awareness and emptiness, rigpa and awareness, rigpa and emptiness. So the vajra symbolizes rigpa and the bell symbolizes emptiness. In this way, if we actually look at each of the 9 vehicles from the first all the way up to the 9th, we can understand the vajra and bell to have different types of significance.
Oh yeah, that's you can didn't know the Chambata Ninja Tante Bone, Nesha to Kala, the name just again the Shadayo, Tanchi, Chitanga, Ninjas get a Tony second around, feeling the Doji to Toto Sharp cases Mare, Ninjas and Ninja going to catch it, Tony second here, Tony getting around so it's a go, young Tossum go and Joko today. The Tony into the Koyun Tossum will dedicate that to do the Doji to Sharp, the Twenty that they paid around 20 times. In the Tom, Donashana, to do the Doji, the rank 17 somewhere, only the means 17 somewhere, the top jacket do Yanella, Doja Lamia. Oh, yeah, the nature when you get around to a half of the Shia, taking around to the Doji again, the China, Doji to some mine buggy, around to the same corner, no one and tap the sheriff, the Ninja, and Tony the Ninja. Oh yeah, that in the Lamina carried the Zomus and Moshi. This is time to get 20 dozen doji, dinning around the Chiluta doji. That shield and a doji that Chilu does not now become half hours rang sem kronga ningje tang tongni de ningje de sem de den de yo ba dian ji mi gi sue ni ji nga lo lo ge ja ji ge de ji jo de ji yang ji sa de do sue ni ji no ma yi ma rang kron ge sem de na la do chini te bi ne ga de shi ni go se gen do na ge na la she ne ga su de ne rang jung ge pa se gen do ka jam kai do ji de de mo se na la ka jam kai do ji se gen do ta de min ga da don du ran중gi 이시를 보고 요래 들어도지 치들이가 들어도지 돈도 ran중기 이시를 전고요. 그래서 삼주 천사지보다 드림 천사들이 ran중기 이시를 강세 장축게 셈다. 닝제다. 야 동리를 전고이다. 딱 드림 기도 마시기.
So here in this session, we're also our aim is to discuss loving kindness and compassion, right, in connection with the Vajra and Bell. So when we talk about loving kindness and compassion then compassion and emptiness, we're talking about like kind of inner states of mind, right, felt states of mind. We're not just talking about some solid object like a Vajra, a solid Vajra that exists outside of us. Compassion and emptiness are internal states, so to speak, that we need to develop, that we need to come to realize, first of all, by means of a conceptual understanding, then deepened into a degree of personal experience, and then finally direct realization. The Vajra and Bell are illustrations or symbols of compassion and emptiness, this compassion and emptiness that we need to develop. That said, we also need to understand that essentially compassion and emptiness are inherently present already within our own minds. They are intrinsic to the very kind of fiber of our being, the essential nature of our mind. At once, they are the compassion and emptiness are the result that we need to attain. At the same time, they are the path we need to traverse. They're also the basic ground, the basic state of things. Compassion and emptiness already exist, present within the very essence of our mind. This is what we need. This is an important point we need to understand. We can talk about emptiness and compassion. We can also talk about these same things in terms of wisdom and skillful means, or we can call them generation stage or completion stage. The point is we need to understand emptiness and compassion are naturally present within our own minds. They're not something that is like a product that is manufactured or fabricated, kind of built by someone, crafted by someone's hands with effort and intention and then produced. Rather, they're already existent, present within the nature of our own minds. At certain levels of teachings, this natural emptiness and compassion is called Buddha nature, Sugatagarbha. In certain tantric levels of teachings, it's called the all-pervasive Vajra. In short, what we're talking about here is self-arisen Rigpa, naturally present awareness or primordial wisdom. And this is, which are illustrated by the Vajra and the Bell. In this context, as I've explained, Vajra and Bell then have these multiple layers of meaning. In this context, so we are going to discuss the Vajra and Bell in light of bodhicitta, compassion and emptiness. So at that level, where they symbolize compassion and emptiness. That's what
상기 길다 이게 아주 이거는 걸어 잡대고 다 걸어 맞는 상기 이거 생각 걸어 가는 잡들었잖아. 나랑수 길 사pen 유에 사pen 모두 길 맞아. 사pen 모두 맞는 감는 로샤게 사pen 다 두개기도. 감도 이제 미지 사제 루사로 슈투 에네사로 디아게 베티나시 마도게 감는라 네게 사pen 유에나야 신gal 마하는 거 얘기가. 베티나시 나랑 길 산테가 동이 된 인제 대월식 인고 마랑 산테 유에나야 lam gonga ta yam se nemba majena ti jiwut mo to situ mare ti ndi kala lama che tem gore chuji ga du gore dibaji jam gore ti mo to jur gore yena ya ta na pe kali gari se jiwut to ti ayo ma pe na kali khazo jam na sang ma lu ba ti ke ka chu chu sang ja kan ka se sa ko le yirma yiru chi da ne kali so ya ne ge sa ma lu ko par ne ge sa chan ge ma ne ge ni ge ma ko yu me na ken khazo chu na chang ma ti ni ga den go ti ti ka na so yu ti ka na de she ni go da 동이 인제 하고 인제 나도 탄탄된 된대요. 라싱이 릭라 트멘당 지 깨와라 포고 모당 지 밀렌 전전 누셔를 맞아 샤셔고 밀어서 되는 게 탐제를 요래요. 디 윤생의 때에 나랑서 탐제돼 단다 귤을 요되는 게 인제당 캠바당 제와당 인지 요되긴 알아서 선진 유로 요되긴 이 공들 땅보다 다 공들 땅으로 제와가 좀 냠내지 쇼 냠내지 오지 제 지금 메디테이션이지 맞는 거 냠내 용도 비요 딸이 간에 당부 요비 진진을 했어요 시아바이나 배나랑 미탐에 다 쇼진 용에서다 부디스트 나왔던 샤바다 인지시에다 쇼단이 보면지 맞는 데 미망고 요게 자나 드린랑데 루빈 뮤지엄 되는 얘기들이 여기 팀에는 하나 가지고 있잖아. 뒤는 배대도 우리도 상담당가 있나요? 파마게 부르고 세워요. 나랑도 찌찌 미찌찌가 세워서 그죠. 뒤세워디야 되네. 나랑도 대신 민국 사빈지. 뒤미찌찌기 타나 키가 샤인지진 거랑 부르고 세워지게. 뒤세워지기 나랑도 셈나 내셔널 마인드가 세워요 비게 되네. 딱지 땡겨. 디나신지기 나랑도 미래를 스페셜 레이드와 나랑도 미쳤던 남주 탐지상 되게 배 당상 배 디나만 그렇습니다. 나와 삼미만을 나가서 되게 진짜게 되는 나랑도 제일 대샤들 디마인 배나 센전 소소소로 나랑도 미발을 와 배나 차 꾸꾸근이 봐 경험을 뭐 킬로미터 이슈 숨지로 통주게 되네 배 나랑도 얘는 그 양실 나신게 미군 디바이 되게 되가시 카시라 나 디바인데 링고 거리 링주고 되는 하고 괜찮다 카시게 되는 킬로미터 망고 알고 다도 안조 하고 군주 탐지 선진가 마신 디바이 다 해서 디나 신식 선진은 디바 강세 캠바다 캠 제와이었어요 딱디 준비거네 카시 남가 부주 카시사로 딱에 추신도 있나 백가만 축축이요 그래서 오예 나는 제가 방신도 있나 막바다 쉬우지 되는 추위에 하고 그래서 걔도 들으면 아무 소소다 되네 캠바이 디 캠바이 어디 니바이 다 볼도 거래 냐라야 고치도 거래 그러면서 랑 포테션 지기도나 미는 쟁도 게 드레지도 게 요. 센젠라야 밀라 디겐다 페메게 니코범다 아이돈 범다 민다리다 단자 딘데기 되네 막자기 주바기 니바야 저도 거래 나무도 게 살아 버리게 되어서도 게 딘나신지 알아서 여기디 셈기 니비땡을 중으로 맞도게 가게죠 르모지 하고 그래서 말해 당선 컴퓨터 나다는 먹어서 로봇 먹어서 다다 AI 디지털 웹사이트 하고 보면 AI 가지고 이제 소미 미스를 맞도게 AI 미스죠 말아 이 인도는 디 시기는 가서 미나 미스고 죠 말아 디 레빠도 소요 레빠도 가와라 연습 받는 나라 셈디 가서 받죠 셈기 모두 가서 캠바다 제가 뉴스는 되게 디 니빠디 제가다 디 니빠디 그냥 숙제중다 된지 거니 되는 미게 남주 지금 오늘 남주 상례 오야 되는 상지 전주서 봐야 또바터를 쌓다보다 이번 순도순도를 싫어서야 덜 디 똑던 거니 캐프르 거니 되네 양은 배서 마치 뭐 상가서 뭐 오마치 뭐 쓰는 근데 캐프 라서 맞아요 다 너무 시기면 늦을 때 맞잖아 네 빠지면서 답이 검시해서 말해봐
So compassion and emptiness. You might think, okay, so you're saying we are all endowed with Buddha nature, we possess Buddha nature, which is basically emptiness and compassion. Those are natural qualities of our mind. But how, you say that, but how can that really be the case? Sure, that makes sense to say that about a Buddha. A Buddha's already enlightened. Sure, they're naturally endowed with compassion and emptiness. But if that were the case for us, why then are we here in wandering through samsara? If our mind is, by its very nature, compassion and emptiness, why are we here? Why are we why are we struggling and suffering? Well, when we say that we possess Buddha nature, that is the fiber of our being, what we mean is that we possess Buddha nature like a seed. We are endowed with that seed, that potential. What we need to do is to make that seed grow, to allow that seed to grow, to actualize it. We use that word, actualize or manifest. If you have a seed, but you just keep that seed in a box, you don't plant it, it's never going to grow, right? It's never going to fulfill its potential. You need to take the seed out of the box, you need to plant it, you also need to keep it watered, make sure it has enough sunlight, provide it with the proper conditions for growth, and then it can grow into whatever its potential is. So our Buddha nature is just like that. It exists within all of us in the form of a seed, a basic potential. And that potential, if allowed to manifest, then it can manifest. So this is why it's taught that all beings are in emptiness and compassion are present intrinsically in the nature of all beings' minds. In this way, all beings have Buddha nature. But at the same time as sort of being taught that, you'll also hear teachers saying you need to train on the path, you need to exert effort, you need to do purification, gather merit, and so on and so forth. That's all to say that we have Buddha nature in the form of a seed, but if we don't exert ourselves, if we don't apply the effort, which is like gathering the conditions, planting the seed, water, sunlight, and so on, that seed of Buddha nature isn't going to be able to grow. Our Buddha nature isn't going to be able to manifest. So if though we bring these two things together, this natural asset of Buddha nature, as well as the effort, meaning training on the path, then our Buddha nature can expand, it can flourish and fulfill its or display its potential, so to speak. When we say Buddha nature, we can describe Buddha nature in terms of three qualities, and we can also actually condense all of Buddha's enlightened qualities into these same three: wisdom, love, and power. There is an intrinsic degree of wisdom, love, and power in all of us and in all sentient beings, no matter who we are, no matter what type of being, no matter our gender, our class, our status, our situation. So this intrinsic intelligence, love, and power or ability is present in all of us. What we need to do is to build on that, to expand and perfect that natural inherent potential. Many of you here are probably seasoned Dharma students, and you've heard about all of this many times. There might be some here, though, who are completely new. Maybe this is the first time you've heard about these things. Even though for those of you who are totally new, who've never been exposed to Buddha's teachings before, you too, just like everyone else, are endowed with these intrinsic qualities. For instance, if you have children, you will feel a natural love for your children, a natural love for your friends and close ones, right? We see this also in animals, in dogs, in birds, in all types of animals. This kind of intrinsic love is a sign of Buddha nature, like the sign or glow of Buddha nature. We also have, we see the potential of human beings in the things that we've been able to invent and create, like rockets that can fly to the moon. That's also a sign of Buddha nature, actually, that the potential of mind. We see also these qualities in animals. For instance, some birds who are able to see sort of tens of thousands of miles away. Some can smell extremely accurately over very vast distances. Some have that kind of power with their hearing and so on. So these extraordinary qualities that are unique to each type of being are signs of Buddha nature, signs of Buddha nature shining through. The same goes with love. There's intrinsic love, like we mentioned, and also a sense of capacity or power. Like elephants, it said they can detect water with their trunks. Some sea animals have extremely powerful tails that they can do extraordinary things with. In terms of humans, we have the ability to look after those we care for and to fend off enemies, right? That's also a type of ability, to the extent that also in recent times we've built nuclear weapons and so on. Planes, the ability to drill through the ground and so on. All of this is a sign of Buddha nature shining through, this basic ability, right? This basic ability. You might think when I say this, Rinpoche doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, these technological advancements, they're made by machines, not by humans. But those machines that are doing the work are made by humans, right? And the ability of humans to make those machines, to invent those things, is display or evidence or function of Buddha nature, of these intrinsic qualities of the mind. So these intrinsic qualities, to sum up, are knowledge, love, and power. These three qualities. Depending on how developed these qualities are within each individual, how developed, how expanded, then we see in individuals, we see differences in individuals, how sort of positive and wholesome someone's conduct is, how developed they are as a person, to the extent of, all the different types of sentient beings in samsara, to the enlightened Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, that's the day to go. Only the second the 학원에 선진 탐정 상민지 장축을 쓰는 거고요래. 이 장축을 쓸때 조들한 거 아마 나 아반이라 파만이가 조우치는 거고 다 전중난에 뒤송요래 군사람이 샬롱난이 뒤송도 근데 다티나 진지가 가서게 컨셉스나 조제 받은 아디셔가 람드나에 뒤송셔래. 이 담보랑이 파마디가 진지 보이 바하고 이 파마가 진지 바하고 전에 이 파마 신도 도와를 주세요. 키단 샤라 지울라서 왔다. 이 딱들이 기회는 갑수냐 파마 같은 친구인바 네 파마 같은 친구들이 임바대 하고 있어서 단단한 밀리지 다비체단 잘 진짜기 가봐서 주에는 가서 랑지고 상게 통나 고바도는 디면도 선진다 담지되는 상기 고방 보진 거 그렇죠 냐미게 파바들아 장축게 셈 어야 엔시기 그 계세를 닝지다 시슈 제거를 닝지의 강신 제거에서 닝지 다 저도 단계 하부면도 타로 탐지기 고방 보진 루시기면도 냐미게 닝지 제거 근데 마이는 지금 나온 사람을 계세셔 봐이나요 Bella, Rangi Pamaji there to what on not there again to the Lizio and Ransom Suma, I think the Amare, the Kalikamoto, and the condition of maintain and can go to Nail to go to another summer's Corbury. Tinzoya and Chambata Ninjigi, Saturday, Chambata Ninjigi sugar. What did you come out of the Tanshu, the Maranzo, me, Tamsi, Chiga, and Chambata Ninja go, Chambata Ninja, the Jones of Jesu, Chugi sheet thing over there, Chanshu the same Jonas. 주기시 같은 거에 유통하면 탐지기에 당고되는 인재스경들 앞에 자신도 쓰고 주시래. 근데 인재디야 다시 인재 니여 인재 시기에 동니 인재 단절이 인재 배상 말에 산다람도 이치로 산요 말에 대마인비게 동니가 인재 가시디 랑부기 부족인비게 인재다 랑이 파마인비게 인재다 진짜 인재셔래. 니 인재디 대성기 인재 강사잖아 다 양다바지 말에 지단기를 죽탐지를 인지어 말은 랑기 자산에서 인지 있어버다 디디 지단기가 나서게 인지지 나다 인지세 고래데 인지 양다버지 말에 인지스는 처음에 인지 고래 수다야 그냥 랑다신 melody 선전 탐지를 처음에 인지죠 인지 양다버래 어디 다 인지의 검사를 예수 어떤 랑도 인지로 매비 돈에 sem제라 된 인지 약속이 곰네 얘네 저게 대단히 동이 직된 라싱이 레온 거래 어디 얘네 동이 되는지 이게 당연히 개와시 두즈면 다 마시는 두즈게 지들 내 자신 것이도 그렇게 가라 다예 동이 인지디 자 동이 되면은 인지 용도 말에 가서는 인지 충충차 인지게 사실의 충충차 이게 동이 있다는 대비기 인지 자신부 남관하신 자신부 자로 생기가 동이 인지 중도 주가서 되세요. 야는 또 인지단 메게 동바치고 거면 대한 좀 말해. 디 동바치고 거서면 남체다 그래. 대한 상기고 공통고 말해. 인지 당다 동바 니대와 되는 남쪽도 많이 넣어서 살아가 송도. 디 동이 인지 인부진 장축주가 같이 넣어서 동바의 인지 중도 주소 맞죠. 나와 탐지기 결혼해야 돼. 타도 뉴토피아 돼. 람 프로젝트야. 동의의 인지 송도 주고 람 고바이나 람 탐지기 타도 돼. 디디도 가라. 다 탐지기 중에 동의의 인지 스게 되게 다 학과 제네다 개업에 시켜다 사사 말해. 때 학과 제네티 결혼나 막 강공부도 때 때가라 가시기를 공기하네. 얘들 공부스게 말한 속에 되네. 공부스게 sen 니주지. 다 디안 주지라 저와단 데르베게 도지티르게 샤바데 사라제 다 곰디디 시작했대 곰스게 다 세스니와 곰시긴스
So we're very tight on time. So compassion and emptiness are naturally present in all beings. Once we know this, by virtue of knowing this, we can generate love, loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta towards ourselves and all beings without exception. In treatises like The Way of a Bodhisattva by Shantideva and Atisha's Lamp of Enlightenment, it's taught that one should cultivate loving kindness and compassion by acknowledging that all sentient beings in past lives have been one's mother. For instance, in Atisha's Lamp of Enlightenment, he teaches 7 progressive stages for developing the mind of enlightenment. And the first of these is to acknowledge that all sentient beings, no matter what state they might be in now, whether they be hungry ghosts or hell beings or animals or what have you, at some point in the past they have been your mother in one of your previous rebirths. And at that time they nurtured you with great love and kindness. So acknowledging that connection and acknowledging that kindness is the first step. Based on that understanding, one can then come to think that, okay, now I've obtained this precious human body, this extraordinarily fortunate situation, I've met with the Dharma, I have the chance to pursue the path to enlightenment. But considering the kindness that all sentient beings have shown me in the past, I cannot, it would be indecent to just pursue enlightenment for myself. So therefore, I will pursue enlightenment for the sake of all beings, not just myself. So in this way, and at the same time, we can come to see, to feel compassion for all sentient beings, understanding that all sentient beings share the same fundamental wish for happiness and freedom from suffering, but through their ignorance, they don't know how to pursue that wish. Instead, they actually cultivate causes for suffering and obstruct their own causes, their own potential for happiness. So with that, we further engender compassion. In this way, we cultivate compassion, we increase our compassion. Equally, we do experience like a natural compassion already. For instance, if you see your mother in pain, right? If you see your mother in pain, naturally, like a sense of compassion and care will well up inside you, right? It's just naturally there without having to cultivate it. You'll immediately think, what can I do to help my mother? Can I take her to the doctor? What kind of medicine can I get her? So there's this natural loving kindness and compassion already. Once we establish and cultivate a stable foundation of loving kindness and compassion, then with that basis we can then cultivate bodhicitta, the wish to attain enlightenment for all other sentient beings. It's for this reason that loving kindness and compassion are so incredibly important and such precious qualities. That said, there are two different types of compassion we can talk about. First of all is a compassion that is infused with an understanding of emptiness. It's this compassion that is pure and genuine. There's another type of compassion which is void of an understanding of emptiness. So that's a compassion that is centered in self-interest, so to speak, very biased and conditioned compassion. That is not going to be genuine and pure. It's not going to be boundless. And the kind of compassion we're aiming for is an unconditional, unlimited, unbiased compassion. And that only comes when compassion is infused with an understanding of emptiness, infused or embraced with emptiness. Otherwise, just compassion on its own, void of emptiness, cannot possibly be genuine in the sense of boundless and beyond self-interest. If compassion is united or conjoined with emptiness, it can become unconditional, unlimited, as vast as space, vast and unimpeded as space. It's for this reason that we talk about emptiness and compassion together, that we need emptiness and compassion to go hand in hand, not separate from one another. At the same time, if we just have an understanding of emptiness but no compassion, that is also not the genuine approach. With emptiness void of compassion, we'll fall into nihilism. It's the unity of emptiness and compassion is indispensable. There are quotations in scriptures by masters like the Mahasiddha Saraha that speak to this point. Again and again. For instance, Saraha says, with emptiness without compassion will not bring one to enlightenment. Compassion without emptiness will not bring one to enlightenment. Therefore, emptiness and compassion must be a unity. So this is the path that this is the way we need to traverse the path, the unity of emptiness and compassion, and this is also the result, a natural unity of emptiness and compassion. Without these two qualities being cultivated together, enlightenment is simply not possible. So we are very short on time. With this, we've now covered the first of supposedly several topics we're going to discuss, which is discussing the Vajra and bell in connection with loving kindness and compassion. So now, with the little bit of time we've got left, we will talk about meditation. So meditation means dhyan in Sanskrit, which means a one-pointed mind. So how should we cultivate or get a one-pointed state of mind? Through samadhi. By means of freedom from thoughts.
Namdo member second to Takata Baby Kazing Tibet House, the Peggy Bay, the Nepal, the Dujigas, Pane, the same in Nepal Goose, the Tinsusha, that is we can also Rubin Museum of Art, the recording using they are using.
So, what do we mean by freedom from thoughts and how to go about that? I explained this in some degree of detail when teaching at Tibet House recently. I explained that one abandons 5 flaws by means of 8 remedial factors, and in that way develops 9 stages of resting the mind. No time to go through these here, but those of you who are interested can listen to the recording. So when we say resting in a one-pointed state of mind, what we mean in this context is a one-pointed state of emptiness and compassion. These days, it seems everyone thinks meditation is just like one lump thing, or like the meditation of Madhyamaka, of Mahamudra, of great perfection. It's all the same thing, it's just meditation. This is wrong. Non-Buddhists also have meditation, but their types of meditation are very different from Buddhist meditation.
Tiang Gomres, Tilta Nazo Nambasanji catcher Thomas, Dorab thing in the cigarettes. Sedan the Semnepa Tamil Motion, Semnepatam Mushi, Semnepatam Kibu Younger, Semnepatam the Jujumo to betray Younger, the same Congo name, the quality theory, conditioning Younger, what they using Younger, the Tikarato to Gumare, the same Nepaticon, Tony Injing on Netone, the Tarotopore. Then Taron Titola, then Shakashimbu, Gongola Netuna, Tile Yoga Sanjiga, Tile Zopashimbu, beautiful Netuna, Sending Luigi Sanjigas. Let into that, remember your gomes again, dinner, make the time gom the music way and over the Kayaki tongue that they do, Yandia gom. Into gom ready, gom the cheap mass.
So we need to cultivate we could say a still state of mind, or a still state of mind. But what do we mean by that? Well, in this case, we're talking about cultivating a state of bodhicitta, meaning compassion and emptiness. In the Buddhist tradition, this is called the samadhi that ascertains the nature of things. So resting in a state, resting in one-pointed absorption in emptiness and compassion. Even just resting the mind in a sort of ordinary, so to speak, state of stillness actually has enormous qualities or enormous potential. Just by letting the mind remain still can develop the mind's natural qualities. It can blossom into certain types of clairvoyance, supernatural powers, also bring about a lot of happiness. But those qualities alone will not lead to liberation. So the point then being that what we need to meditate on, what we need to kind of rest our mind in, is emptiness and compassion. Through that we can attain enlightenment. Through resting in emptiness and compassion we can reach enlightenment. If we rest in the state of Mahamudra, then we can attain that state of enlightenment much, much faster. If we can rest the mind in the view of the great perfection, we can manifest enlightenment in a single life and single body. So these are the differences, right, between many different types of meditation. These days it seems people think meditation is simply, sitting in a certain posture and being still, ringing a singing bowl and listening to the sound peacefully. That is not necessarily meditation, and certainly meditation is not limited just to that. There's a sutra Buddha taught called the King of Samadhi Sutras. It goes through many hundreds of different types of samadhi, different types of meditation.
recommended YouTube now that I love share can also not mean and chas on Geoshi that they love you that the jailer can also do it to lynch again a Karmangas can deal with that is also.
So I won't say any more about this now. We simply don't have time. We've already run over time. Those of you who are interested can listen to the recordings of various teachings I've given where I discuss these very points in much more detail. So you can listen to those. They're on YouTube and things. We'll stop now and we can spend 5 minutes on Q&A if anyone has questions.
Richard, thank you so much for filling the time so richly with these teachings, reminding us of our intrinsic good nature. It's true we have gone over time, but what is time? Then it's going to value. So those of you who are pressed for time and need to leave, you can do so at any point. But if we do want to entertain 1 or 2 questions, we could squeeze them in. We've got microphones on either side of the house. Matthew is here, and Nina is here. Quickly raise a hand, and whilst you're thinking about what to say, I just want to remind everyone that this theatre will be closed for the next 2 weeks to mindfulness meditation because of a very exciting thing that's happening. We've invited 32 different artists from the Himalayan region and diaspora to take over the museum in an exhibition called Reimagine Himalayan Art Now, which opens on March the 15th, and you're all invited to the opener. But that means to prepare for certain installations, we're going to need the theatre. So we will continue to do the podcasts on those 2 Thursdays, but just know that that's what we're using the theatre for, and it's going to be stunning. We'll resume a meditation here in this theatre on March the 14th with Swami Chindananda, who will return to conduct the meditation. And in connection with that, the artist Sonam Brown will be creating a number of different workshops of creating satsas for her installation, Field of Wishes, which will be on the 6th floor. And we will be doing the workshops both here in the museum on Thursday, February the 29th, as well as February the 24th, and on Friday, March the 1st. They're all online, and if you want to register to take part in them and have your own satsa in the installation here at the Rubin Museum of Art, I would be delighted to welcome you. Who's got a question for Rinpoche and Laura's translation? Thank you, Laura, so much for translating all this. Anybody? Raise your hand because we'll get a microphone to you very quickly. Yes, we've got a microphone on this side, Matthew, if you don't mind. Keep your hand up, sir. You're by the camera. Thank you.
Thank you. As a novice, I can understand the 2 first qualities, knowledge and compassion, but when you speak of the power, I was hoping that maybe you'd be able to elaborate slightly. I thought maybe power, like in a physical sense, going to the gym or the city, yogic powers, but those can't be right. So that's
great question. Thank you so much.
The Niba Mogo Shuja, Niba second Luke in the Bayan, you're a thing in Zig in the Bayan, you're a Zig in the Bayan, you're not in the Bayan.
There are so many different types of power. Physical, power of the physical body, power of samadhi, power of substances, like material substances, and power of mantra.
These ones.
That answer your question?
It's a start, anyway. We're all going to start somewhere. Anybody else the last question? We have a question over here. Thank you so much. No, it'll have to be our last question.
Hello. Thank you so much for being here today. At the beginning of the talk, you talked about 4 aspects of the practice that should always remain secret. And you said where you practice, what the substance of the practice. And I can imagine why some of those aspects should remain secret, but I'd like you to share, if you could, a little bit the importance of why those specific things should remain secret.
Sanga Sanji Chawa, the Sanga Kunji Mai, not the Maruma Sansla, Sanga singing point Kronti, not the Dembas in the Sanga Shepherd model, not the medieval Sanga Shekuma, not the Dembas in the Sanga Tebayama, one topa, the Nilami in Nawa topa, Ryan to do interest Yeva, the Nissan touch your son, Michel, Lotta Michel, the Juna Chester, the Tijun Sanga.
It's said that secret mantra is not kept secret because of faults in the tantric teachings, but rather to conceal it and protect it from those who are not worthy or suitable recipients. So the tantric teachings should be shared with those who are suitable recipients. A suitable recipient is someone who has faith in those teachings, someone who's received empowerment, who has permission from a teacher to engage in the practice, who has a real burning interest in pursuing those practices, and who is free of wrong view in the profound view of secret mantra. It's for that reason that the teachings are kept essentially secret. If these four factors are kept secret, then the result of one's practice will ripen quickly. And this being the case, the Vajra and Bell actually are secret substances, really. But now they're displayed in all the shops. And we're talking about them here in the Rubin Museum.
And we're going to be talking about them further because our extraordinary docent Robert will be happy to take you to examples of how the Vajra and the Bell are illustrated in works in our collection on the floors in the galleries. Robert, where are you going to start? Which floor? 2. So find Robert on the second floor if you'd like to continue your journey through the Rubin Museum here. And I just want to thank Rinpoche so much for the value of your teachings. We're not going to bring any Tibetan singing bowls here today, that's for sure. And Lauren, thank you so much for your really adept and fleet translation.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Thank you all for
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.